I'm Nova, and tonight I'm the kind of person who talks to a donkey like he's the only witness left who could testify that I exist. That's not even the dramatic part. The dramatic part is that I honestly don't know which of us is more likely to make it to morning. If this were a vlog, the thumbnail would be me with rain hair and red eyes, one hand on a halter rope, the other clutching a flashlight that's losing the argument with the storm. Title: We did it all night. I couldn't stop him. Maybe there'd be a circle around a blurred shape, arrows, a face like... You'd click expecting scandal. You'd get hay dust in your throat and the sound of hooves punching fear into the floor. This is your content warning. The only thing that gets wrecked here is my idea of control. I didn't plan for any of this. My plan was to disappear into noise. City buses, late shift coffee machines, the static that makes grief politely inaudible. Then my brother's jacket arrived from the hospital in a plastic bag that crinkled like an apology, and suddenly noise felt like a lie. I signed up for a farm internship on a website with too many stock photos of sunsets. Room and board provided, it said. Must love animals. I didn't know if I loved anything. I knew I needed a roof with its own weather. That roof is currently beating out a nervous drumline. The gutter is clogged, and the overflow hits the earth in a hard, steady stream, a metronome for panic. The power already flickered twice. The barn lights stutter like they're trying to blink at me. I blink back. Clearer, please. The donkey's name is Comet. He's dark, almost black, with a frost of white on his muzzle like he fell asleep in sugar. Rescue, they said. The kind where rescue is a verb that still hasn't finished happening. He looks fine at first, a little wary, a little thin. Then he moves, and you see it. The whole history lesson written in how a body carries itself. Startle wired into bone. Expectation of the wrong kind of hands. Comet won't stop moving. That's why I'm here. Boots sinking into straw gone sticky with sweat and rain mist. Halter in my right hand, lead rope draped across my wrist. My phone jammed in my back pocket with the vet's number cued like a held breath. It started an hour ago, maybe 2. Time got weird. The kind of weird that stretches and snaps back like taffy made of seconds. He began circling his stall as the thunder rolled in. Small, tight loops, head low, ears pinned. He rolled once, hard. Then again. Then he started pawing, then kicking at his belly, and I Googled what I already knew from orientation. Colic. The unhelpful word people use to make a lot of different kinds of gut panic sound tidy. I am not a vet. I am a girl who used to schedule her breakdowns between work shifts. I am a pair of hands trying to borrow competence from YouTube videos and a barn manager who's stuck across the flooded causeway, texting me in clipped, loving bullet points. Keep him standing. Keep him walking. No grain. Water only. I'm coming. The signal here is always a coin toss. The last text that landed said, if he tries to go down again, circle him. Gentle, but don't let him roll. You've got this. I stared at those words. You've got this. Like the letters might rearrange themselves into a mother's voice. The phone lost bars. I didn't. Hey, I tell Comet, low and steady, the voice of a late-night radio host trying to get strangers to sleep. Listen, man, we're going to be boring. Boring saves lives. He swings his head toward his stomach and snorts like he's arguing with a ghost. Then he barges forward. I let him, because forward is walking, and walking is good. We do a clumsy figure 8 in the aisle, me half skating on wet bedding, him shoving his shoulder into my space like he's trying to climb inside my ribs. Lightning pops. The lights hiccup. My brain does a fast inventory of what lives in the dark. A donkey with pain like a fist. Me with a fear I can almost taste. A row of quiet horse faces leaning over doors like commuters eavesdropping. It's okay, I tell them all, which is ridiculous and necessary. The big bay gelding named Captain flicks an ear. The pony with the perpetual side-eye, Pippa, flares her nostrils like she'd like to file a noise complaint. Comet surges, tries to drop. I pull, not with muscle but with insistence. No, I say, which is the kind of boundary that works on toddlers and pain-drunk equines for about half a second at a time. He resists, front knees bending, hindquarters angling like a collapsing tent. I angle my body against his shoulder, pressure to pressure, a physics experiment fueled by adrenaline. Up, I say like I've said it my whole life. Come on, up. The halter shivers in my hand. He groans, heaves. and the idea of down slides off him like a scarf. He's standing. I am not crying. Yet, if you ask what grief looks like, I'll tell you it looks like this. A small brown body pacing a stall because the inside hurt is louder than thunder. And a girl who lost her brother walking circles because she can't fix anything, but she can show up with legs. My sweatshirt is soaked through. The sleeves keep slapping against my wrists, cold, abrasive. My brain keeps offering helpful gifs of my brother, Eli, double-knotting his running shoes, dragging me out for a late loop around the block, laughing when I complained about the heat. "Movement is medicine," he said once, the day after our parents' divorce went public in the family group chat like a PR statement. I'd rolled my eyes. Tonight I repeat it like a spell. Movement is medicine. I force my feet to keep time, heel to toe, steady, like a metronome could convince a stomach to unknot. Another roll attempt. Another refusal. My arms shake. My body tries to put this night into larger story shapes. Like maybe there's a lesson here, a redemption arc, something clean. Then Comet slams his hip into me and the lesson becomes simply, don't fall. The world telescopes, wet rope, hot breath, the sour apple stink of stress sweat, the hollow thunk of a hoof hitting stall boards, an almost silent prayer caught in the soft part under my tongue. Good, I tell him when he takes 3 calm steps. Yes, that. Be boring again. Boring is the new sexy. He snorts. I swear it's the equine version of a side eye. The rain quiets for a to-be-continued beat. In the almost silence, I hear the soft, liquid noise of his gut trying to decide if it will cooperate. I hold my breath like that will help and immediately hate myself for it. Who hoards oxygen when someone else needs it? I check my phone again. 1 bar. The bar disappears, returns like a shy friend. The voicemail from the vet pings through in chopped pieces, like a song buffering. If he's still trying, keep him. Do not. We'll be there as soon. I text back walking. He's restless. No manure. Gut sounds faint. Please hurry. The spinning sending icon is a roulette wheel I don't want to play. I leave the barn door open a foot to let the storm air in, so it can argue with the hot smell of panic. Some part of my brain that does math without my permission starts counting. Steps per minute. Roll attempts. Minutes between thunder. How long since he drank water? 40? 50? I lead him to a bucket. He sniffs, dismisses, bangs his head against my shoulder like I'm the problem. Cool, I tell him. Gaslight me. Literally. I don't like my voice in crisis. It tries too hard to be funny to hide the fact that it's scared. But the animals don't care about the performance. They care about tone. So I modulate. I keep it low, warm. I say his name like it's a bridge. Comet, hey Comet, easy. We walk more. The aisle is a narrow ocean. We are the tide. He drifts toward the open door. I steer him back. He stops. Legs splayed, head low, eyes gone distant. As if he's trying to step into the invisible place pain opens for you. I step into his line of sight and make eye contact. Stay, I say, a word you're not supposed to use with equines like they're dogs. But what else do you tell a creature who wants to sink? He blinks. There you are. He takes a breath that sounds like tearing paper, and we keep moving. My hands start to numb in a way that scares me. I flex them around the rope to force blood back into fingers. The lights flicker again. Captain tosses his head and blows out an opinion. Pippa stamps, outraged at weather. A gust slaps the tin roof and we all flinch. The storm throws down one close clap of thunder like a gavel. Order or else. I want to argue. I don't have time. I talk because talking fills the space terror wants to colonize. I tell Comet about Eli. Not the end. The middle. How he ran like he was trying to catch the best version of the day. How he put cinnamon on everything. How he could fix the projector when the teacher couldn't, and made it look like the projector thanked him. How he used to make me do gratitude lightning rounds when I got cynical. 3 things. Go. And how today I would say, the grit in Comet's eyelashes that makes him look permanently skeptical. The way the storm scrubs the air clean even while it's wrecking my nerves. The fact that the barn smells like warm bread under the sharpness of fear. It's dumb, I tell Comet. I know it's dumb. But it's something. And something outruns nothing most days. Comet flicks an ear back, listening. He's sweating in dark patches. A map of right now. I unclip the lead from the halter. Rub his neck in circles I wish someone would do between my shoulder blades. His skin twitches under my hand, a wave passing. "Hey," I say rough. "You can hate this. Just keep going." He tries to drop again. I block. We do this dance. Push, redirect, until my calves burn and my lower back files a complaint with HR. I become a human lane line. He becomes a wave that can't decide if it wants to crest or retreat. Somewhere a hinge squeals. Somewhere a bucket settles with a clunk like punctuation. Time stops pretending to be organized. I start bargaining with a universe I don't believe bargains. If he stands, I'll call my mom tomorrow. If he drinks, I'll answer the texts I've been ghosting. If we make it to midnight, I'll forgive myself for last year. If he poops, The list is long. The list is either a prayer or a threat. Midnight comes without fanfare. The storm, bored of itself, drifts toward the hills. The rain recalibrates from assault to whisper. The barn lights flicker and then commit to being alive. My phone pings like a small mercy. Vet, 30 minutes out. I text back copy because I don't have extra words left. 30 minutes is both a lot and not. I reset my grip on the rope. Comet stumbles, recovers, gives me the side eye I deserve for gripping like I'm the only thing holding him to earth. We head outside. I don't know if it's a good idea. I know the aisle is a loop our bodies have memorized, and sometimes you have to break a loop to remind a gut it can break one too. The night hits cold. The paddock is slick but not reckless, the mud a thin handshake instead of a trap. The air smells like metal and mint. Wet fence, crushed weeds. I keep him moving, slow, a line along the fence. He stops to look at the dark beyond like it's a mirror. I keep my gaze on his shoulder. Don't stare at the abyss. Stare at what you can actually touch. He sighs. It's not relief. It's a sound like the floor in an old house settling. I make a mental note. If we get through this, I will buy peppermint treats. I will learn the little scratchy spot on his withers that makes him lean into pleasure instead of away. If. What a mean hinge that is. Headlights smear down the lane like a gift. The vet's truck, a boxy miracle. My knees go watery. I wave one arm because I have to do something with the flood of, oh thank God, oh thank God. Comet drags me a step, spooks at the lights, then stands as if he's waiting for instructions he might actually take. Dr. Reyes is tall in that practical way people get when they spend time outside on purpose. She does not waste breath on small talk. How long? She asks, already reading Comet with her hands. Skin tint, gum color, heart like a drum through her stethoscope. I give her the timeline, chopped, honest. Rolling attempts? 5, 6, I kept him up. Water? Nosy, no drinking. Manure? None since evening feed. She nods like she needed me to say it out loud to make it real. She slides a needle into his neck with a grace that makes me want to cry. This will help the pain, she says, which is both medicine and liturgy. She passes a tube and I have to turn my face away for a sec, because my brain insists on filing the image under every gross thing you've ever seen then dreamt about. She threads it soft and sure. Comet flares, flinches, then settles, because she told his body the truth with her hands. We walk again, while the meds yoke the pain to something Comet can pull without breaking. He blinks like the lights in his head are relearning their dimmer switch. Dr. Reyes listens to his belly, quadrant by quadrant. We've got sounds, she says. Not loud, but present. She says it like present is a word to put your back against. The barn manager, Maggie, finally storms in with her own storm clinging to her raincoat. She looks like the night found a person suit. You did good, she tells me, and puts a hand on my shoulder in a way that says she knows what it cost. Praise is a small, dangerous thing. It makes whatever broke inside you lean toward repair just to be worthy of it. We make a plan. Plans are my love language now. Water, but not too much. No grain. Walk. Watch. Hope for the kind of music no one else would call music. Gas, a burp. The first tentative shift from pain to bored. We orbit the aisle, a slow galaxy. Reyes checking, Maggie timing, me counting breaths I keep forgetting to take. Comet's eyes start to lose the hard edge of pain. He keeps trying to step into my space. Rude, yes, but also a kind of trust. I let him crowd me a little, then nudge him out. Boundaries as choreography. You can sit for a minute, Maggie says. I don't. If I sit, I'll turn off like a device whose battery only looks full. Instead, I lean my head against Comet's neck and memorize the smell of him. Warm grain, damp hair, the tinny top note of the meds, and tell my nervous system, this, here, now. We go outside again. The storm's passed. The stars have their faces back on. The paddock is a low, dark bowl holding the last of the rain. Comet stops, lifts his tail, thinks better of it, walks on. My heart performs a complicated rhyme scheme. We circle the fence again. He stops, lifts his tail. I shouldn't narrate this next part like it's the climax of a Marvel movie, but that's how it lands. A small, undignified sound. Then another. The air changes, less tight, more like the barn exhaled in relief. Comet blinks, surprised and deeply himself. He sniffs the ground like a connoisseur. There it is, Dr. Reyes says. Not because she needs to say it, but because I need to hear it. That's good. That's very good, I laugh. It sounds like something cracked and then agreed to be whole again, even if the glue shows. I have never loved a fart this much, I say, and Maggie snorts so hard she has to pretend she tripped to cover it. Comet looks offended on principle, and then immediately forgives me because the world got 2% less awful in a way even his body recognizes. We keep moving. Not because we have to, but because stopping would be too abrupt a plot twist for my nervous system. Reyes runs through her list again. More meds in a bit, check in at sunrise, keep him monitored. She wraps my competence in a neat sentence and hands it back. You did exactly the right things, she says, and the sentence lands somewhere in my chest where the floor's been missing. It's not a fix. It's a plank across a hole. The truck leaves. The barn manager dozes in a chair by the tack room, chin tucked down, the practical angel at rest. The horses snore. Yes, they snore, making soft sounds like the barn is practicing breathing for all of us. Comet lowers his head into my shoulder, heavy, unembarrassed. I shift to hold the weight and try not to cry because tears feel like a waste of salt we might still need. I feed the part of me that wants to run with small tasks that feel like staying. I fold a stack of cool, clean towels no one asked me to fold. I top off water buckets to the same careful line. I sweep the mess we made fighting the dark back into some semblance of order. The night filters into something almost tender. It's embarrassing how any space becomes home if you panic in it long enough. Around 3, Comet drinks. The sound is almost rude. It's so loud, gulping and happy, water splashing his whiskers. I lean against the doorframe and watch like a creep. Good boy, I say, which is borrowed language, but it's what I have. He swings his head to look at me with that baffled little, oh, you're still here, look I recognize from mirrors. Me too, I tell him. For now, me too. My phone buzzes with a text from a number I haven't opened in weeks. Mom, how are you sleeping there? I stare at it, feel my face go hot in the empty barn. I type walking and then delete it. I type we're okay and delete that. I finally write bad weather. Long night, I'm up. She replies a minute later, which means she wasn't sleeping either. Call in the morning? I hover over yes until the yes stops feeling like a lie. Yes. There's a moment near dawn when the black blue of night thins into gray, and everything you do feels cinematic because the world has its diffuser on. I sit on an upside-down bucket with a blanket I found in a trunk and wrap it around my shoulders without thinking about the title of this story. No one move. Nobody say it. Comet stands in the doorway, hind leg cocked, eyes half closed, handling his own gravity with a competence that makes me dizzy with relief. His breathing is steady. The barn has a heartbeat. So do I. I introduce myself to the morning like I've just arrived. Hi. Nova here. I listen to how my name sounds when I'm not saying it to an empty room. It's less brittle. The syllables have circulation again. There's a patch of sky over the east pasture that goes pink like a blush that means it. The paddock fence throws long shadows. Sparrows take attendance under the eaves, somewhere a fox decides to mind its own business. I think about Eli. How mad he'd be if I made a personality out of losing him. How he'd point at this scene and say, okay, but you're the one who stayed upright, so maybe put that on your resume. I tell the empty aisle, fine, I'll put it on my resume, and Captain flicks his ear like about time. Maggie wakes up with a crick in her neck and a swear. She pretends she wasn't sleeping. I pretend I believe her. We check Comet again and every check is less terrible. The drama of survival is boring in the most beautiful way. Vitals within acceptable range. Gut sounds not poetry but good prose. Posture like I might nap standing up now. We take turns leaning on walls like we're in a music video for exhausted people. She tells me I can crash for an hour. I nod and don't move because I'm afraid my bones will seize if I stop. I look at Comet and make a promise I have no right to make in a world that specializes in loopholes. I'll keep walking with you when it hurts. It's not romantic. It's not even noble. It's just a job description I wish someone had given me sooner. He lowers his head until his forehead touches my chest, a gesture so gentle I want to confess every bad thought I've ever had. I put my hand on the soft square between his eyes, that baby fur patch that always stays a little fuzzy, and I feel the heat of a presence that didn't leave me when everything else did. The storm is a rumor. The barn is a cathedral. I am small and tired, and somehow not alone. If I were filming, this is where I'd zoom in on the breath that fogs the air between us, the way it curls and disappears, proof that nothing stays and everything matters anyway. Then I'd pull back and show you the whole scene. Mud, hay, my mascara doing abstract art on my face, a donkey who ate the night and lived. And I'd say, we did it all night. He wouldn't stop, and I couldn't stop him, so I didn't. I stayed, and sometimes staying is the miracle. I don't know how to end this except like this. Dawn is a soft kind of loud. Comet is alive. I am a person who can do hard things for a long time without anyone filming it. And there is a voicemail from my mother in my phone waiting to be heard. I press play and her voice is tired and brave. Call me when the sun's up, she says. I want to hear your morning. So I keep walking the aisle one more time, just because I can, and the barn breathes with me, and the day begins anyway. Morning is a liar. It shows up dressed like a reset button, but every old feeling is still sitting at the kitchen table, drinking your coffee. The sun throws glitter on the puddles and pretends we didn't spend the night crawling through the alphabet of panic. I know better now. Morning is just night with better PR. Comet sleeps standing, lower lip drooping in a way that would be comic if it didn't look like surrender. When I touch his neck, light, the way you check a sleeping child, he flicks an ear and leans almost imperceptibly into the contact. My whole body wants to crumple with that lean. I don't. I start a new list instead because lists are bridges and I've lived in the river long enough. List, 7:02 a.m. Refill waters. Check stall for manure, proof of life. Text Maggie that I'm still vertical. Call Mom, I promised. Breathe. Breathe again. The barn holds last night like a secret between cupped hands. Everything smells rinsed, hay sweet, wood honest, Comet solid and animal. Maggie is awake. There is coffee, black and unkind, which is exactly how I want to be loved right now. She gives me a clean hoodie that says Ridge Hollow Equine like I've earned the brand by surviving a quiz. We walk the aisle in that companionable silence of people who were both present for the same catastrophe. I want to hug her. Instead, I ask what needs doing. Start with him, she says, nodding at Comet. Always start with him. We do. There's manure. Hallelujah in unglamorous form. Not a lot, but it exists. Reyes's note on the whiteboard is a sweet reminder that professionals believe in being tidy. Banamine at 9 a.m. 4 flake hay. Walk 10-15 min every hour, no grain. Me, I add a heart next to the word walk. Because I am a cliche with a Sharpie and fine, I'll own it. At 8:15, I take my phone to the far corner of the tack room where the reception likes to play hide and seek, and I call my mother. The ring is short. She answers on inhale. Nova? Her voice has that new carefulness, the way people speak to an animal they're not sure will bolt. I hate it and I love her for it. Hey, I say, and my voice comes out like I swallowed a handful of gravel. I sit on a hay bale because my knees have suddenly become a philosophical question. We do the choreography. Are you okay? I'm okay. Well, what does okay mean? Okay means I didn't sleep. Okay means I'm fascinated by poop now. Okay means I held a rope all night and didn't let go. I tell her about Comet's gut moving again, and hear her exhale like she's been holding her breath since I hung up on her in February. I kept thinking, she says, about when you used to sleep on the floor of your room during storms, remember? You'd say the lightning could see you better in a bed. She laughs the way a wound laughs, a small, unconvincing sound. It's funny what logic we use. It's not logic, I say before my brain can filter. It's survival. We go quiet. There are wrong things you can say to a person who shared your son and lost him differently than you did. I try to backtrack without stepping on a landmine. I mean, keeping a body upright is a strategy now, for me. It helps. I know, she says. And the way she says no makes me close my eyes. I walked the hall the night they called. Your father slept. I walked. The carpet was awful. It still helped. The sentence lands in me like a light in a window. I write it down in my head for later. We talk about nothing and everything in the ridiculous present tense. She asks about the farm, and I tell her about Captain's snore and Pippa's criminal mind, and how the barn cat will not let a single feed room secret go unpunished. I edit the fear out and leave the motions in. Carry, sweep, fold, walk. When I hang up, I am shaking and weirdly hungry. Comet takes 3 sips from the bucket without fanfare, and then tries to steal my hoodie drawstring. I tell him that's sexual harassment in a workplace, and he flicks his ear like we both know I Googled that line in freshman year. His eye has softened. The sharpness around the edges is duller. I press my forehead to the soft square between his eyes for 1 second, a sacrament I've invented. I don't cry. I'm saving my tears for a day that doesn't need me. Maggie and I divide the morning. She scrubs water troughs in the south pasture, while I hand-walk Comet along the fence line where the ground is a little higher and less likely to steal our ankles. The sky is honest, blue with a memory of last night's gray, like a bruise fading. A breeze moves the tops of the poplars in a ripple that sounds like applause from another planet. At 9:02, I dose Comet. Text Reyes a photo of his gums, which is a sentence my high school self would have used to roast me forever. Reyes replies with a thumbs up, and the holy words call if anything changes like a promise with edges. 10 minutes into our 10-15-minute walk, Comet decides he is an Olympic speed walker. I let him. There's a groove in the mud already from last night, a loop like a track lane. We become a diagram you could draw in chalk, 2 figures circling something invisible but important. After a few laps, his stride loosens. Mine does too. I become a person who can match a donkey's cadence like we trained for it. We pass the gate to the far pasture, and I notice the latch is twisted. Not broken, not fresh, but not right either. The metal bent slightly out of alignment, like a hand with a long memory forced it the wrong way sometime in the last week, month. I crouch to examine it, and Comet crowds over me, halter clinking against my ponytail, a terrible assistant. I don't make anything of it. The storm did weird things to everything. Probably that. By noon, the barn has shifted to daytime mode. Feed room hum, wheelbarrow squeaks, the universal chorus of animals trying to negotiate more hay with their eyes. Comet is fine adjacent. He noses the empty water bucket, unimpressed with me for not making it a salt lick, then tries to untie the lead rope with that prehensile donkey mouth I swear could open a combination lock. Donkeys are different from horses. Everyone told me that. They weren't kidding. If horses are bilingual, fear and flight, donkeys are quietly trilingual. Fear, sure, but also doubt, and then a third language I'm learning. Prove it. When I ask Comet to walk, he asks me back, why? I'm getting fluent. Sometimes because I need you to is enough. The afternoon is where the tension curls itself like a cat on my lap. Nothing is wrong. Everything is risky. It's dry and bright. The barn fans chop the air into segments. I keep setting alarms. Walk, check, water, rest, and then ignoring the ones that say rest. My body is using borrowed hours. I drink coffee I can feel in my hair follicles. At 2:17, Comet goes still. Not statue still. Listening still. It crawls over me like static. His ears triangulate on something beyond the fence, something I can't access with human eyes. The field is a watercolor of greens. The tree line is a neat underline against the sky. Nothing moves. Everything moves. I say his name the way you lower a volume knob. He doesn't blink. The air gets that metal taste that tells the nervous system an old story. You've been here before. You survived, yes. But what if? See something? I ask, performing calm for both of us. He breathes out sharply, a pop of sound. I follow his gaze and see, finally there, movement in the tall grass near the creek. A flicker of gray-brown, then nothing. Deer, fox, my brain spins the wheel of what if and lands on neighbor dog. I file it, and we keep moving. But the hair along my arms has voted to be suspicious all day. The relapse hits not like a thunderclap, but like a creep. Comet's steps shorten. He keeps glancing at his belly. The desire to roll returns like a bad habit. Every inch of me says no, like I'm trying to teach the word its own meaning. I text Reyes. Slight backslide. Still walking, no roll. Gut sounds quiet again. She replies, Banamine okay at 3, keep walking. Call if he goes down, we walk. The loop is mud and pattern. The loop is my brother's voice reminding me that sometimes the mile is a circle and it still counts. The loop is the way my brain won't shut up. What if we missed something? What if the gate? What if the creek? What if the shape in the grass was an animal? What if the storm shook loose something that doesn't belong? This is the part in a movie where the soundtrack would add a single piano note, high and thin. In real life, it's just my heartbeat being too loud for good manners. At 2:54, while we're in the narrow stretch between the tack room and the hay bales, the old blue tarp that covers the hay mountain decides to become a dragon. A gust slips under one loose corner and the whole thing slaps and billows. Comet goes from cautious to airborne in half a second. He surges, nearly yanking the rope out of my hand, and then spins, hind end half buck, eyes white in a way that makes me think of the ocean turned inside out. I don't have time to be afraid properly. I get my feet under me and slide my hand down the rope to the knot at his halter, that place where leverage lives. Hey, 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 I say, my voice dropping into the register that calls animals back from the ledge. He backs into a post hard enough to shake dust out of 10 winters. I plant my hip against his shoulder and give him my weight. Not as a fight, but as an argument. I'm here. I'm real. You can push on me instead of falling through the floor. He freezes, neck rigid, breaths blasting. The tarp flaps again. That awful flag sound. I want to kill it. Instead, I talk. It's a tarp, I tell him. It's stupid. I know, we hate it. It can't hurt you. He blinks like he's filing it under, maybe. Then he licks and chews, that weird, almost comical reset horses and donkeys do when the danger moves from outside their body to the inside filing cabinet labeled context. I tie the tarp down like it owes me money. My hands are shaking. Comet drops his head into the space near my shoulder with brutal gentleness, the kind that gives you whiplash because the body can hold both at once, terror and soft. I press my fingers along his jawline. Hate the tarp all you want, I say. Just don't die to spite it. He doesn't. We keep walking. At 3:11, he tries to go down. My body finds angles I didn't know it could make. I block his shoulder with mine and pivot him out of the dent he's dug with his obsession. He snorts, offended. I cuss in a tone that would make a pastor proud of my passion, if not my word choice. He stays up. We keep moving. By 4, Reyes is here again with that steady truck that now lives in the part of my brain that stores synonyms for hope. She rechecks everything, a ritual that calms me more than the results. You did right, she says again, and I want to tattoo it on my forearm in case I forget. She points at the far pasture gate, at the barely twisted latch, at the scuff marks in the mud near it. We had a visitor, she says matter of fact. Coyote, maybe. Or a person who doesn't know how to mind their business. Keep him close tonight. Someone tried to get in? I ask. My voice doing that thing where it goes flat to hide the thing hiding under it. Or out, she says. Storms pull at everything. Latches, fences, animals. Brains. She's not wrong. My brain is a junk drawer after an earthquake. I put the fence on my list for evening. Check. Rebend latch. Replace wire tie. Maggie agrees. Maps out how we'll do it. Plans. My security blanket. The light slips toward late afternoon, in that way that looks like God turning a dimmer switch. Comet's eye is kind again, but his belly is not chatty yet. Reyes leaves us with instructions and a pat for Comet so soft it makes my teeth hurt. Maggie says she'll grab a nap and come back for night check. She tells me to do the same. I nod and fail in slow motion. Instead, I take Comet out to the small pen near the barn where the ground is sandier. He sniffs the sand like he remembers being something else in a brain he used to live in. Wild, wide, not this. He lowers himself. My heart slams into my throat. But it's not a roll. It's a lie down, careful and righteous. He stretches on his side, long and straight, and breathes like a person who figured out the answer during the test. The sand prints the shape of him. I sit on the fence and watch his belly rise and fall and have the disturbing feeling that if I blink, I'll miss a miracle. Something crunches near the gate. A footstep? A deer? I stand, every cell in me turning to antennae. Hello? I call, which is the opposite of a plan. The breeze answers smug. Comet flicks an ear but doesn't rise. The crunch comes again. I walk to the corner and peer around the barn. Phone in one hand, the lead rope in the other, like faith on a string. There's nobody. Just the ripple of long grass and the edge of the creek and the old sycamore leaning like a gossip. Then I see it. A boot print in the soft mud by the fence. Not Maggie's. Not mine. Larger. A little staggered. Could be from before the storm. Could be from a neighbor checking for damage. Could be anything, which is the worst category. Fear has a way of writing its return address on everything. I snap a photo because proof is how my brain negotiates. Then I do what needs to be done. Check every latch, every gate, every panel. I reinforce the sketchy gate with new wire and a clip. I breathe with my mouth open like I was running. I tell myself stories that end with okay. When I come back, Comet is up, shaking sand off like glitter from a bad party. He looks almost smug. I clip the lead and we walk again, because good news is no reason to stop doing the thing that made it possible. The second evening comes on less dramatic, but more haunted. Long shadows, barn swallows stitching the sky with their fast, dumb joy. My body is a list of aches, forearms, calves, lower back, stacked like unread mail. I eat a protein bar, and it tastes like cardboard drawn by a talented child. I drink water, and it tastes like a favor someone remembered to do for me. I count Comet's breaths. I count my own. At 7:32, I go looking for the barn cat, which is how I find the old halter hanging high on a nail behind the tack trunks, one I hadn't noticed before. Its leather gone soft as apology, with a brass plate tarnished into almost illegible. I rub it with my sleeve until the letters resolve. Jasper, not Comet, a previous life. The halter smells faintly of old sweat and rain, a ghost living in hardware. I bring it to Maggie and ask without meaning to, who was Jasper? She hesitates the way people do when they're trying not to put their whole face into a memory. Donkey from before you. Came with 2 others. We moved them onto a sanctuary when we realized what they needed was steady quiet and were too busy for steady quiet. He spooked at men. Hated blue hats. Loved stale donuts. Donkeys don't forget. Do you think Comet was with him? Could be. She studies the plate like it might reveal a map. A lot of rescues come through the same places. Names change. Everything else comes packed with them. There's a softness in the way she says it that makes me want to ask if the owner who let them get thin ever showed up to apologize or take back what they couldn't care for. I don't. I take the halter back to the nail and hang it like a small memorial. I say Jasper out loud in the empty aisle because names are doors. By 9, the barn hums with that good tired sound. Beasts eating, humans exhaling. Comet's gut is talking again. It's not a TED Talk, but it's not silence. Reyes texts good signs. Keep to plan. I send her a photo of Comet's side-eye because doctors deserve joy too. She responds with a laughing emoji and the words beautifully unimpressed. Then, because tension is an organ the body grows when the plot demands it, the power goes out. Not a flicker, a thud. The fans stop mid-whir. The aisle goes from golden to dim in one breath. The emergency lights boot up with that spaceship glow, and somewhere distant, a transformer makes a noise like a dragon clearing its throat. Generator, Maggie says. Already moving, I grab the headlamp, turn it on, and the world becomes a tunnel with the edges bitten off. Comet lifts his head, ears pricked, not panicking, waiting to see what I do. Bless him. Bless this learned patience. I keep my voice easy. Field trip, I say, which is a lie, but the tone is truth. We shuffle to the yard where the generator sits like a stubborn animal that only Maggie knows how to coax. She yanks the cord, mutters to it like it owes her $50, yanks again. On the 5th try, it coughs into life and the barn hum returns. Thinner but present. We do a quick check of all the doors and here it is. The thing that tightens every muscle. The far pasture gate is open 6 inches. I know I wired it. I know I clipped it. I know because I am a person who hoards control like it's a vitamin. The wire is still there, twisted but loosened. The clip is in the mud, stamped with a boot print that is not mine. Maggie swears softly, the swearing people do when the fear is not for themselves. Could be the wind, she says, but it doesn't sound like conviction. What would they want? I ask, and my mouth tastes like pennies. Curiosity, she says. Trouble. A lost drunk. A neighbor who thinks fences are communal. She wipes her hands on her jeans and examines the improvisation I did earlier. You did right. We'll double it. We do. We cross the wire like stitches. Add a second clip. Shove a cinder block against the bottom rail like we're trying to keep the ocean out. When we're done, I feel less safe and more honest, which is a theme, I guess. Back in the barn, Comet's body is a metronome again. He tosses his head once, bored, and then drops it with that exacting donkey logic. He's decided he's fine until he isn't, and he'll inform me when that changes. I lean on the stall door and talk to him about Jasper without making it a story with all the edges filed off. You had a life before me, I say. Of course you did. You will have one after. Of course you will. He breathes out like his own yes. It's late when the rain comes back. Not a storm. Just an afterthought. The drops on the barn roof are a memory of percussion. The generator hums like an anxious friend clearing their throat. The emergency lights make everyone's eyes look like moons. I walk the aisle one more time because it's what I have to give. Motion, attention, the poverty of presence turned into something like wealth. Comet leans his shoulder into my ribs as I pass and holds there just long enough to say it without language. Stay. I do. I stand with him and let our breaths flirt with the same tempo. I put my palm on the warm flat of his neck and think about Eli, the way he'd take a bad night and reroute it into a dare. 3 things, he'd say, and point at the obvious. Light weather, body, and make me say them out loud anyway, because saying makes the mouth learn the shape of gratitude even when the mind wants to roll. Okay, I tell the barn. 3 things. The generator, the cinder block, the way Comet smells like hay and rain and not like a hospital. The barn approves. Or maybe that's just me deciding not to argue with the one place that didn't abandon me. Somewhere after midnight, I do sleep, a guilt nap in the folding chair with my boots still on, and my headlamp elastic imprinting my forehead. I dream badly, and then, all at once, well, Eli running ahead on a trail, stopping, turning, not impatient this time. Take your time, he says, and the dream doesn't punish me for believing him. I wake to Comet's tail flicking rainwater at the door, and that wonderful, unbeautiful soundtrack of a gut doing what guts do when you've earned a boring night. It's not over. It's never over. That's the part I hated and am learning to love. The living doesn't end. It inconveniences you into paying attention. Before I pull the blanket tighter around my shoulders, before I check the gates again, before I make the first coffee of another day that will mostly be a repetition of the last, with small mercies sharpened by vigilance, I take the tarnished halter plate with Jasper and set it on the tack trunk where the morning light will touch it first. I say both names, Jasper and Comet. I say my brother's. I say mine. I say them like a roll call for a class no one signed up for and everybody keeps attending anyway. We did it all night again. He wouldn't stop, pacing, listening, arguing with invisible enemies, and I couldn't stop him. So I walked. I watched. I rewired a gate. I made a list out of fear and a life out of motion, and in the margin where the worst possibility and the best habit meet, something kept breathing. Dawn is honest today. It doesn't pretend. It just opens. I open with it. Chapter 3 will be what it will be. I don't get to script the body. I only get to stay. So I clip the lead, and Comet and I start another circle, the longest mile there is, and this time it feels less like chasing and more like arriving. I woke up to silence. Not peace, silence, the kind that holds its breath before something decides what it wants to be. The generator had died sometime in the night, and the barn lights were nothing but ghosts in their sockets. For a heartbeat, I thought Comet was gone. His stall was empty. The gate stood open. My stomach dropped so fast I felt weightless. I stumbled into the aisle, boots scraping straw, heart trying to kick its way out. Comet! Nothing. Only the wind, a low hum over the tin roof. Then, faintly, a sound from the field. Not panic, not pain. Just motion. I ran. Out past the fence line. Through the fog that the dawn hadn't cleared yet. My breath came out in white bursts. And there he was. Dark against the silvered grass. Head down. Walking the perimeter like he owned it. Like he was checking every inch of the world to make sure it still held. He stopped when he saw me. For a moment we just stood there, 2 silhouettes cut out of the same exhaustion. Then he took a few steps toward me, slow and deliberate. The way you approach something you've decided to trust again. You scared me, I said, voice cracking in the open air. You can't just... I stopped, because the words didn't matter. He brushed his nose against my sleeve, searching for reassurance or a treat, or maybe just proof that I was still solid. His body was warm, steady, alive. And then the sound I'd been begging for all week, that ordinary, miraculous gurgle from his belly, rolled through the quiet like laughter. I laughed too, out loud, and it came out broken and perfect. Behind us, the first sunlight split through the clouds, catching on the wet grass, turning every drop into a mirror. Maggie's voice carried faintly from the barn. She was calling my name. I waved, but I didn't look away from him. You did it, I whispered. We did. Comet flicked an ear, unimpressed by sentiment. He just kept walking, a slow lap of faith around the field. I followed because that's what we do now. We keep moving, even when we're scared, even when it's just to see the same ground from a different angle. The day widened around us. The fear thinned, and for the first time since the storm, I didn't feel like I was chasing survival. I felt like I was walking beside it,